I got a couple cool Swiss Army knives and a non-Swiss Army knife to talk about. First up, we've got a model that I have not had in my hands before until this one. That is the Victorinox Mountaineer. The Mountaineer is a 4-layer model. You know, you can think of it as the climber plus a metal file. And that's what takes it from just your lowly climber to an astute mountaineer. So, looking at it, you know, the first thing that strikes you is it does not have a bail or a key ring. It is just strictly a pouch knife or whatever. It hasn't been cut off or anything. It just did not come with a bail or key ring. That's super cool. It has the nickel silver shield. This one it's still heavily patinaed. It was even more so. I had to, it was so dark that I just sanded some off of it, and it's still golden now, but I could sand it down to, you know, straight silver if I wanted to. We got the back scale. Check her out. Got that toothpick action with the little humpage. We've got the aluminum tipped tweezers. They're a little worn out. I think they've been in there a little long. You know, you can bring them back to life. Just give them a little one of these guys. Bam. There we go. That'll put a little more pep in their step. And yes, they have the aluminum tip. I could clean it up a little bit, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I do love how these look. I love knives that do not have, of course I don't have any over here. Yeah, here's one. Like, I love knives when they don't have the tweezers and toothpick. This is an old enough one that the scales are super shrunk. But I just like how they look with no scales, no toothpick. I think that's a cool look. So, on to the features of this guy. Of course, we've got to have a 4-turn corkscrew. Bickety bow. How you like me now? And it's fluted for her pleasure. Yeah. Got that reamer. Bam. You know it's a reamer too. She ain't got no sewing eye. That precludes it from being an awl. It's just a reamer. Next up is the cap lifter, screwdriver, wire strip and notch. Bam. Notice it does not have a half stop. I believe this knife dates to the mid-70s, probably like 75 to 78-ish. We've got the can opener with the small flatheads, or 2D Phillips driver, if you will. Next up is them wonderful skizzers. The 91mm skizzers. Excellent spring action. Excellent tension. Yeah. Just perfect. Perfect little pair of scissors for whatever you need to do. Whatever little minor cutting needs they might need to answer for. Next up, we've got the metal saw slash file slash nail cleaning tool. So very cool. And honestly, you know, I used to be way more into the wood saw and the scissors and stuff, but lately, especially since I've started to work on knives more, the file is my go-to tool 99% of the time. I have this one out all the time, and that file's out. It just never goes away. So I heavily use the file, and now I can't imagine not having a file. So this Mountaineer is looking really good to me. Good action on that guy. Of course, gotta have a pen blade. You know, they can't all be winners. You know, sometimes you just gotta take a pen blade and just take your loss. Then we've got that main blade. She's a beaut. Nice and full. Probably still the factory edge on it. Outstanding. Victorinox, Switzerland, stainless, frost fry. officious. That is a super cool little knife. This is my first time having a Mountaineer, as I may have mentioned. I mean, you could compare it to some other models. You know, here's a Fieldmaster. Now, of course, a Fieldmaster has a Phillips instead of a corkscrew, and it has a wood stall instead of a file. Another close one here. Here's a Huntsman small, even though it's a small one. Same thing, close enough. Basically, the only difference between this and this is that this has a wood saw and this has a metal file. Yeah, super cool stuff. So, on to the next one. Now, as most of you know, I am really into collecting non-Victorinox knives. I've taken to call them the monster knives. I used to call them clones, but, you know, now I just call them the German officer-style knives. And this is a big boy. This is a Kaufmann, made for the George Fisher Company. George Fisher is a very famous historic company in German history. They make their area of expertise early on was pipe fittings, but they went out and they bought a bunch of other companies and diversified, and now they're still around today. They're basically a holding company that invests in various things, various manufacturing ventures and stuff like that. But man, when I first saw this knife, I was like, man, I gotta have it. Check out that inlay. Kaiser and Tropel Mainz. Now, Mainz, I'm just going to have to, you know, plead ignorance here. I don't know how that's pronounced. You know, my American brain tells me Mainz, but my the part of my brain that has read stuff says Mainz. But either way, Mainz is a city in the Rhineland in Germany. Yeah, an area that is known for their wine industry, and a lot of trade and stuff went through that region, through the Rhineland. Fun fact, up to 90% of Mainz was destroyed during World War II. Yeah, not so fun fact. But what is pretty fun about this knife is that it's friggin' enormous. You might not be able to tell from this picture now, but if you saw my videos last week, I showed you this Italian boy. Now that's a big boy, that Italian knife. And this is probably 10 millimeters longer, a full centimeter longer. Yeah, easily, probably 12 millimeters longer. And then, but remember, here's a 91 millimeter Swiss Army knife next to that Italian knife. So you've got your 91 millimeter, you've got your approximately 100 millimeter, and then what is certainly at least 110 millimeters. This is a big Swiss Army knife. And yeah, I know there's the Ranger grips and stuff like that, you know, that are 130 millimeters and stuff. The thing is, they changed the format and the state. This is the largest Swiss Army knife style knife that I've seen. You know, to have this basic officer's knife design, yet to be that large, is incredible. And it's a really nicely made knife. Kaufmann makes great stuff, and this is no exception. The black plastic handles, again, it reminds me of like phenolic, like modern like knife handles. I mean, I know it's older than that. I know this is from at least the 1950s, if not older, but it's just a super hard, durable material they had, much better than celluloid. Celluloid would dry out and shrink. Whatever this is extremely durable and solid. Got the cool GF, George Fisher logo. You'll see them on a lot of Swiss Army knives, yeah, and other knives and stuff. And they made their own knives. They've branded many things. They've been involved in real estate, everything from pipe fittings to real estate to knife work. So yeah, they got their fingers in a lot of pies, as one might say. This thing has huge end pins. I mean, they got to be 3 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter. They're larger than normal. Look, for instance, here is a standard 2.5 millimeter pin that would be used on a... Yeah, they're probably they got to be 3.5 millimeter. But yeah, because this is a 2.5 millimeter pin. And yeah, it's the same here. Victorinox uses 2.2 millimeter here and 2.5 here. So I've got, I don't have a 2.2 here. So your normal pin size is here, and these ones are just much bigger. So that's kind of cool. Makes sense. It's a bigger knife, so why not use bigger pin stock? I love the bird's eye rivets with the brass washers and the steel pins. The two-tone bird's eye rivet is what it's all about for me. I absolutely love that look. Same thing on the back. Kaiser and Troppel. I tried to look up this company. I just couldn't find anything about it. I mean, it's very likely that they were blown into oblivion during World War II, and that there's no record of them exists anymore. I couldn't find anything. I did find a Troppel from Mainz, but it had to do with something much darker. Part of German history. It had nothing to do with making knives or tooling or pipe fittings or anything like that. So, yeah, I don't know who these people are, but I'm super glad they made this knife. So let's check it out. First up, man, let me say this thing has the pull on everything here is as strong as I like it to be. Any stronger and I no longer like it anymore. It's too strong. This thing could break nails. If you're not committed to opening some of these tools, they will rip your nail off. But man, first we've got a huge 5-turn corkscrew. And just to put it in some context, let's look at it as a standard corkscrew on a Victorinox 91 millimeter. Now, even a 5 millimeter 5-turn, look, I got a 5-turn corkscrew right here. So that doesn't make a difference. It's just a much bigger corkscrew than a Victorinox corkscrew. Let me get this stuff out of the way. Bam. Much bigger corkscrew. Much bigger reamer, and hard to open too. Not in a bad way. If I didn't have the camera in my way, that wouldn't have been an issue. But notice the beautiful brass liners. She's a Butte Clark. That's a great shape to a reamer. The little quarter round Jones, European style all. Gotta love it. Oh yeah, and it snaps nice and tight. Next up, we've got the old school can opener with the rust-free Solingen stamp. How's about that? How's about that indeed? Lovely. And man, it's got some spring tension on that bad boy. Now here's where commitment comes into play. I had to trim my fingernails already because I broke them yesterday opening this. If you like halfway try to open this, it's just going to rip your nail off. You got to like it. You just got to know you're going to open it. You have to have it convinced in your mind that this thing is opening. Because if there's any doubt in your mind, your fingernail is folding over backwards and you will shriek with pain. We've got a cap lifter, screwdriver. You know the drill. Very nicely made, nicely shaped. Thing is rock solid. Gotta love it. Bam. Next up on the back is that wonderful clip blade. Again, it's got the rust-free Solingen stamp on it. Nothing on the back, but a nice little clip blade. And let's listen to this snap right here. Oh yeah. That's a great snap. Let's check this one out. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great snap. This is a fantastic blade, man. Let's check it out. Let's get a size comparison next to a Victorinox blade. So that's a big boy right there. She's a big boy. I mean, look how much longer it is. That's just way longer. I mean, it surprises you because it doesn't even seem like the knife's that much bigger overall. But when you see that blade, it makes it very obvious. It's a much bigger blade, much bigger knife. Notice we've got the famous K55K Kaufman Rust-Free Tank Stamp. What is K55K? Kaufman started making knives in 1855, and for whatever reason, they made that their tank stamp, K55K. Super cool, but man, let's listen to this guy close too. Oh yeah, she's a beaut. Listen to my thumb pop too. But man, it's got man, brass inlays, brass washers with steel pins, brass liners, stainless steel tools. What's not to love? But man, that is one big Swiss Army knife. I mean, come on. Here's your here's your 91 millimeter. For the heck of it, let's show an 84 millimeter just so you really, I mean, that is gotta easily be 110, 112 centimeter Swiss Army knife. Very cool Swiss Army knife. Very well made. And frankly, this guy is probably one of my favorites right now. I just absolutely love this knife. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Petey Grizz out.